Hello everyone, welcome to Brown Struggle in Canada, and today we are taking you to the most famous Canadian travel destination, Banff. We will be sharing all the places that we visited on our 6-day trip. Also, at the end of this video, we have shared our travel details and a few tips on how to save some money on the hotel, rental car, and the airline, so stay tuned. The first place we are taking you to is none other than the famous Lake Louise.
We went fairly early in the morning. And as you can see, despite that, we had trouble finding parking. The parking is paid as well. It'll cost you $14 for the day till 7 p.m.
From the parking, it was a fairly short walk to the lake. As you can see, even earlier in the day, the place was packed. It was a weekend, so you might see less people if you visit during the week. The boardwalk in front of the lake was full of people, so we decided to walk around to get an uninterrupted view.
The information boards here give you a great idea about the geography and the history of the location. And in my opinion, it's definitely worth a look.
And to be honest, we liked the views better from the side and got some really nice clicks standing on these rocks. So we suggest you also do the same instead of just seeing the lake from the front. One of the most famous activities that you might have seen a lot on Instagram is canoeing on Lake Louise. There is a boathouse from where you can rent a canoe for an hour and paddle on this beautiful lake.
Right next to Lake Louise, we have an iconic architectural location. In the foot of these mountains lies Fairmont Chateau. Chateau Fairmont has deep historical roots. It dates as back as the colonization of Lake Louise and has been a center for a lot of developments happening around the area.
Entry to this hotel is free, so we decided to go in to see the interiors of this beautiful architecture. There were a few gift shops here to get some souvenirs. Also, this is the only nearest place to the lake to get something to eat. It also has the nearest public washrooms. So like us, if you're planning to go on a trail, this is a perfect spot to freshen up and grab some snacks for the way. On our way to the next location, we decided to walk through the hotel to get the side-by-side view of this beautiful building and the gorgeous lake.
And next, we headed to the trailhead of the Lake Agnes Trail. Now this is a split of road where you can either go to the Lakeshore Trail or start climbing up the mountain to Lake Agnes Trail. As you climb up, the views start getting sparse and sparse until you reach halfway where a grand view reveals itself. Any hike a little bit further than the halfway point might have snow in it, especially during the spring months.
After hiking for approximately 2.5 kilometers, it brought us to our next location, which is the Mirror Lake. We took a break to relax here a little, looking at the Mirror Lake's famous reflection of the half dome in the water. We visited in mid-June, and as you can see, the lake was half frozen, otherwise it would have been a perfect spot for a swim.
Hiking shoes are recommended for this trail as it can get fairly slippery if raining in Banff. Luckily, when we visited, we did not have much rain on the day of our trail, but conditions can change very quickly in the mountains. So be prepared. After all of this hard work, the views are finally getting more and more worth the walk. being in good shape is recommended for this climb, as we were having to take a break every 100 meters. What can we do? We absolutely love our food.
And after hiking for 3.5 kilometers, we got to see this hard-earned beautiful view of Lake Agnes. Right next to the Lake Agnes was the famous Teahouse where we decided to do our lunch.
The employees reside in the Teahouse for their 2-day shifts. During this, they have to hike all the way up as there is no shortcut, and they also have to bring all of the fresh supplies needed for the food. While going back down, they do take the garbage with them, so given all the trouble they go through, the prices can be a little high.
This trail further goes up from Lake Agnes to Big Beehive, but because of the snow, we decided not to go any further and went back. Just the drives from one place to the other are so scenic and surrounded by so many beautiful views. When driving through the mountain, it gets really tempting to just stop and take in the views. And also for that, you will find numerous designated viewpoints on the roadsides. They also have parking, and some of them also have public washrooms and garbage bins. So we also decided to stop by to Vermillion Lake's Viewpoint.
One of the most amazing things about driving through Banff is that its countless roadside stops give you not only a sense of wonder, but at the same time give you the answers to all of your questions. Like, just at the lookout of Vermillion Lakes, every single mountain was pointed out alongside its overall height. Our next stop is one of the most famous in Banff. This is the Johnston Canyon.
We came here early in the morning and had no problem finding a parking spot. We also noticed that the Park Canada station was selling bear sprays, so we decided to buy one.
Downwind at the bear. You've got about 7-ish seconds of spray in here.
Okay.
So you want to do a couple of short blasts on it.
Okay.
Make sure you don't, completely run out before the bear is taken care of.
Yeah.
There are numerous signs at the beginning of the trail to tell you what to expect. Johnston Canyon is also famous for birding and its wildlife.
This is a relatively easy trail to do. Anybody can enjoy the Johnston Canyon Trail. There are 3 points of interest, and we started our hike to the first point of interest, that is the Lower Falls.
The trail to the Lower Falls is approximately 1.1 kilometers. It is a pretty flat and a smooth trail. You're mostly walking on the catwalks on the creek. In the beginning, there is mostly forest, and then as you're getting to the Lower Falls, you start seeing these crazy rock formations of the canyon. After walking for about 30 minutes, we finally got to the Lower Falls. There is also a small tunnel that takes you through the canyon rock to a platform where you can see the Lower Falls up close.
Being this close to the raging water is a mood of its own. The experience gives you an idea how something like a stream of water through a canyon inspired generations of painters and artists to soak in the beauty of this place.
The trail to the upper falls was approximately 2.6 kilometers. We also noticed that this trail had more elevation and it was much more steeper compared to the Lower Falls trail.
After this long trek, we finally reached our second point of interest. Here are the upper falls of Johnston Canyon. Up next, it was time to head to the Lake of the $20 View. This famous lake has been on Canadian dollars several different times. After this beautiful drive to its parking lot, we arrived at the famous Moraine Lake. The parking here is much smaller than Lake Louise, so it definitely gets filled much quicker. So given its increasing popularity, definitely come on time because many people visit to see this amazing lake. Even though we went in mid-June, the lake was still not melted. And as this is a glacier-fed lake, we got a chance to stand on the lake bed. Not only that, we were able to climb a little higher to see the amazing view of the lake as well. While walking along the shore of the lake, we realized how much more the lake still has until it reaches its prime glory.
And our next stop is the most photographed lake of the Canadian Rockies, the Two Jack Lake. This lake is pretty close to downtown Banff and also very accessible as the parking is right next to the lake. Two Jack Lake is famous for its loop trail, canoeing, kayaking, and also fishing. This lake stays pretty busy all year around, but since it was raining that day, it was all empty.
Next, we decided to stop at the Surprise Corner Viewpoint in downtown Banff. This is a very famous viewpoint for the Banff Springs Hotel. This hotel lies right in front of Bow River and overlooks the valley looking towards Mount Rundle.
Similar to the others, this viewpoint also had parking on the side of the road. After enjoying the views here for a bit, we decided to go down to the actual Bow Falls Trail, which was only a 10 minutes drive away. The parking here was also free and there were quite a few spots available.
Now, Bow Falls might be a low elevation waterfall, but if you see the power of water in Bow Falls, you would realize how fast the water flows here.
This lake takes you through the forested area along with the shore of Bow River. You will also find many nice viewpoints along the way. This is an easy trail as there are sets of wooden stairs to climb instead of hiking the elevation. At the end of this trail, you will find a platform overlooking the Bow Falls.
After checking out the Bow Falls and Bow River, we were very tired. This does happen as you're hiking in Banff because you are always climbing elevation. So our next stop was the Banff Upper Hot Springs. Now this is an extremely relaxing place to be. We recommend you visit here in the middle of your trip. It costs you $9.50 that includes a locker rental for your clothes. You can also rent towels and bathing suits from here, or you can bring your own. In a single ticket, you're able to stay there for 2 hours, or you can buy a day ticket if you wish to be there for long. There is an amazing view of the mountains right in front of you while you're soaking in the water, and we would definitely recommend this place. It is a great boost for your legs and your muscles and gets you replenished for the journey ahead. While exiting the town of Banff, another bonus roadside stop would be Vermillion Lakes. There is no parking here, so you can stop your car and enjoy the view for a little while.
Our journey ahead takes us to the Icefield Parkway. This is something we definitely recommend you do as the drive itself is considered one of the most scenic drives in the world. And if you're driving from Banff, we recommend you start this drive early in the morning as it's a fairly long drive. Our first stop on the Icefield Parkway brought us to Bow Lake. This magnificent lake was extremely quiet in the morning and reflected the mountain like a mirror. This lake was much bigger than we anticipated and is definitely worth a stop.
As the drive continued, the views started getting more and more spectacular. Our next stop was a viewpoint for the Panther Falls as well as the Bridal Falls. Now, this was not limited to just these two waterfalls. We were also able to track just a little bit downhill and see an amazing view of the valley. This was well worth the effort as it shows you the path you have just traversed. Some of these spots on the Icefield Parkway are landslide zones, so we recommend that you exercise caution and are always careful of where you park your vehicle.
Moving on, our next destination was midway on our drive to Jasper. This is the Columbia Icefield Center that serves as a hub for exploration of Athabasca Glacier nearby. This was for us the most scenic valley in our drive in all of Banff.
Parking for the Icefield Center is located at the north side of the building. We had booked our tickets for the Icefield adventure in advance, so we headed straight inside with the passes on our phone and joined the queue for our boarding of buses. Buses take you to the boarding station for the Ice Explorers. Now, these Ice Explorers are special vehicles that the company uses in order to reach the glacier. There are only 24 of these buses in the world, out of which 22 are located here in the Columbia Icefield Center. So we were extremely excited to be a part of this adventure. The tickets for this tour can be bought individually on the Pursuit website, or you're able to book it as a package with some other Banff attractions like Gondola, Lake Minnewanka Cruise, and the Icefield Skywalk.
Excited for the glacier today. Yeah! Alright, that's a great level of excitement. Anybody from British Columbia? No. Anybody from the Prairie Provinces, Saskatchewan or Manitoba? No. Anybody from Quebec? No. Anybody from the Maritimes? No. Anybody from the Territories? No. Do you have any fellow Canadians on the bus?
Hey, Ontario!
Alright, that's not a real place anyway, so it's cool. We'll just, let's go. Keep screaming as loud as you can. Ah! Ah! For the world's slowest roller coaster. Here we go, everybody. Now, Jim, to stay quiet for this portion of the drive. That's just so you guys can sit back, relax, and enjoy the view on the way down.
The driver of the Ice Explorer was also the tour guide. His brief of the history and geography of the area was very helpful in understanding the significance of the glacier that we were headed towards. And on top of that, he was a very funny, entertaining guy.
As we reached the glacier, stepping right onto it felt like solid rock. We couldn't believe how dense the ice was. We had heard that for a glacier to form, the ice usually falls for more than 5 years without melting. It wasn't hard to believe then that this part of the glacier was a mere spillover from the large Columbia icefield that lies beyond the two mountains it cuts through. The temperature on the glacier was very low due to the cold winds that blow over it, so I do recommend that you bring your warm jacket and also wear some nice hiking shoes so you do not slip on the ice. After our first glacier adventure, we now headed back to the loading station where another bus took us to our next destination. It is very close by to the Columbia Icefield Center and is an attraction provided inside their package. This is the Columbia Icefield Skywalk. The force of water and ice in a glacial valley can be seen very easily here. Little braids of the Athabasca River originate from this valley. Later on down the Icefield Parkway, you would be able to see how big the Athabasca River actually becomes. But it was really interesting to see that it all originates from this place. In standard fashion in this national park, you will also find many information boards, history markers, as well as wildlife identifiers at this area as well.
After a short 3 minutes walk, we reached the almost 300 meters high glass walk above the Sunwapta Valley. My first step onto the glass floor was extremely nerve-wracking, but as soon as I was able to see the views, I completely forgot where I was standing. It was so exciting to see so many different views of the mountains and the valley from different sides of this U-shaped glass platform. We spent almost half an hour on the glass walk and decided to go back to the Columbia Icefield Center. There were buses every 15 minutes to and from the center, which was also included in the ticket. The Icefield Discovery Center had cafes, restaurants, and restrooms to freshen up. They also had patios with amazing views to sit out and enjoy the food with these grand mountains.
It was now time to continue our journey towards Jasper. As we were leaving and heading down the stairs, we also saw the first snowmobile that was used, so that was very interesting. Driving further on this amazing scenic route, we had a few more stops to make before we reached Jasper. Coming up next for us was Sunwapta Falls. Even though this destination can be a complete tour and trail in itself, we treated it as a roadside stop. We only headed to the falls viewpoint, which there were actually two. We were able to look at the falls first by heading down a few rocks to look at it up close. What you see in front of you is none other than the Athabasca River that was seen as a merely small stream from the Athabasca Glacier. Yes, indeed, this is the force it finally reaches at Sunwapta Falls. The second view of the falls can be seen from the bridge located directly at the entrance of the trail. This is one of the most iconic views of the Sunwapta Falls. The river goes around an island in front of the mountain before it falls from the upper falls.
And luckily, on our way to our next location, we also saw a grizzly bear. And the next stop on our drive is the Athabasca Falls, which was not too far from the previous location. From the parking lot, this is approximately a 1 kilometer long trail which takes you through the various viewpoints of the Athabasca River. As we walked further on the trail, we started seeing these dramatic canyons caused by these heavily flowing waters. As we walked the bridge, we walked deeper into the canyon, and here we could see why this fall is one of the most powerful falls in the Mountain National Parks. The water pressure here is so intense that anyone getting closer to the railing was soaked up from the mist within minutes. Our drive continued, and on our way we couldn't stop ourselves from making a roadside stop at this mountain's viewpoint. Here we saw Hawk Mountain and the Collin Mountain.
After capturing these mountains, it was now time to head to the final destination of the drive on Icefield's Parkway. And as we proceeded to park our truck in the parking, the serene Jasper Lake awaited us. Jasper Lake is one of the largest lakes in the city of Jasper. Yet, for the most part, it is not a very deep lake, and you're able to walk along most of the shoreline. Jasper Lake is fed by the Athabasca River as it broadens while entering into this valley. The lake is very accessible and has washrooms on it as well. It is also very close to the town of Jasper, so that you may be able to grab your dinner or your lunch from there. At this point, it was very late in the day for us, so we decided to head to Jasper and have a dinner before we do the drive back to Banff. The town of Jasper is a very cute little town. At most of the times, you might not even have cellular reception, but it is definitely worth exploring the downtown. With several places to eat and enjoy yourself, you have the options of dining in or eating in a patio. We would recommend that you also refuel here, as there will not be many gas stops on your way back. The drive back for us was just as scenic as the drive while coming in, but we had to make sure that we reached Banff before the sunset. The Icefield Parkway can be a beautiful place, but it would get extremely dark at night since there are no light sources on the road. It might be difficult to notice wildlife coming onto the road at such times, so we suggest you head back while there's still sun. Up next, we reached back to Banff for our next location, which is the Minnewanka Lake. This is the largest lake in Banff National Park. To explore the lake, we had already booked a cruise. Now all we had to do was head to the ticket counter and check in to board the amazing Daughter of the Peaks 2. Now what's a ship without a good name? The boarding process was seamless and easy. The whole boat ride was going to take 1 hour, with the captain driving in almost 11 kilometers into the lake.
In the fashion of other cruises, the Lake Minnewanka cruise was also filled with a lot of information that was being delivered by an amazing tour guide. We got to learn about the people that inhabited near the lake thousands of years ago. This lake was once called the Devil's Lake, as people believed that a sea monster resided in this lake. This changed in the late 1800s. We wouldn't spoil the rest for you, so we recommend you visit and see it for yourself. There is also a boat rental where you can rent a boat or a canoe if you want to explore this beautiful lake by yourself. And the next location we are taking you to is none other than the famous Banff Gondola to the Sulphur Mountain. We arrived at about noon and almost all the parking lots were full at that time. Finding a parking spot here was not easy, as you can see there were so many cars parked on the street. We waited for almost half an hour circling around the lot when someone pulled out and we finally got a spot. This place is not too far from downtown Banff, so you can either come here early or take a shuttle from the downtown. Even though we purchased the tickets online, we still had to wait in the line because of how busy this place was. While waiting in line, we saw an information wall to show you all the spots you will be seeing up there. It might seem very ordinary, but it got my heart pounding as the gondola started going up. It starts fast and then it's a smooth, calming ride taking you approximately 7,500 feet high in just 8 minutes.
This is probably the easiest way to get the most epic views without climbing an actual mountain. The Banff Gondola summit building is a multi-level building. On level 1, you would find access to the boardwalk as well as some views 360 around the building. Everything is marked here and you'll easily be able to recognize your favorite places that you might or might not have visited during your trip to Banff. The top level or level 4 is the observatory deck. From here, you're able to get even better views of the surroundings. There are also some chairs to sit and relax and have some food from the cafe downstairs, or you can dine in one of the restaurants if they have a window seat available. It is a rather interesting experience to see how the town of Banff is covered 360 by just mountain peaks. On level 2, you will find an amazing gallery that will tell you about the geography, about the history, as well as the biodiversity of the area. After that, for the best views of the location, we wanted to travel all the way up the boardwalk. The boardwalk consists of 368 steps each way. The boardwalk takes you to the Cosmic Ray Station with views on both sides of the valley. It took us about 45 minutes to go up all the way to the Cosmic Ray Station, and we would suggest you factor in the time for the breaks in between. There are multiple views and photo opportunities, so it might take you way longer depending on how many photos you want to take and how many stops you would require. Once you reach the Cosmic Ray Station, there is no interruption to your views. On one side of the mountain, you would be noticing the Sundance Peak, the Goat View Peak, Goat Mountain, Banff City, Mount Norquay, Mount Rundle, Mount Gerard, and so many of the other iconic peaks in the area. It was time for us to head back, so we went back to the first level of the Bow Summit building, and this is where you would get the gondola back down.
It's so fast! Oh my god, oh my god, oh my god!
As you can tell, this can be a very intense moment in the beginning of the descent, but it is not all that bad once you're past that point. There is also a Starbucks if you want some refreshments as well as washrooms at the base of the Banff Gondola. So we grabbed something and we're ready to head to our next destination.
On our way to the next location, we got lucky and witnessed a black bear. This next location is also popular as a free alternative to the Banff Sulphur Mountain Gondola. This is also a roadside stop and there are a few designated parking spots where you can park and enjoy these beautiful panoramic views of Mount Norquay. Also, keep an eye out for bighorn sheep. We saw one right on the road. These were all the places we saw on our 6-day trip to Banff. As promised, here are the details of our travel, including the flight details, where we stayed, and our budget rental car.
A rental car on average in Banff costs about $2,000. Instead, for our rental car, we took an Uber from the airport to our destination to pick up our U-Haul truck. Our U-Haul truck comes with extended mileage and 7 days of use. So if you're visiting for the week, this is a perfect choice that's going to save you at least $1,000 to $2,000. Up next, for our accommodation, we decided to stay in Canmore rather than staying in the city of Banff. This is relatively close at about a 15 to 20 minute drive to Banff and also provides you with an opportunity for amazing views as the city is way less populated. The room was also amazing. It had great space, great amenities. We were able to get it for $250 a night, which is comparatively cheaper than Banff. For our airlines, we decided to go with Flair Airlines, and it is comparatively cheaper than other airlines if you're traveling light. It costed us approximately $350 round trip for a person. You can also choose to go with other airlines if you do have baggage with you.
And that was it for today's video. Thank you so much for watching till the end. Please subscribe to the channel as we have a lot more travel videos on the way.